Hi, beautiful people. How are ya? I hope you're having a great day. If you've had fibromyalgia for more than 20 years, then you've seen a lot of changes. I've only been diagnosed with fibromyalgia since 2008, so 16 years. And even in that time frame, I've seen a lot of changes. For one, physicians no longer have to use the tender points examination to evaluate our pain. However, that doesn't mean that we no longer have tender points, because we certainly do. But some people, more than others, have more tender points. And just as a reminder, those tender points are those 18 points or places on the body where it's extra tender. Men and some women just didn't have the number of tender points needed for a diagnosis. So they were going without a diagnosis when they, in fact, had fibromyalgia. Characteristics of fibromyalgia hasn't changed. We still have chronic widespread musculoskeletal pain, fatigue, stiffness, something I'm really struggling with here lately, sleep disturbances, cognitive issues, sensitivity to touch, to smell, and sound. But we're not our symptoms, are we? Our symptoms vary among us in intensity and challenge us from time to time to our core. We endure various overlapping conditions, comorbid conditions, some of which are common among us, like IBS, ME/CFS, arthritis, myofascial pain syndrome, chronic headaches and migraines, multiple chemical sensitivities, and so many more. Is there one or more that stands out for you that causes you trouble? For me, it's IBS, but I may have some good news to report on that soon. I am feeling much better. We may also suffer from psychological and emotional traumas, stressful environments, and negative events, but we press on. It's in our very nature to press on because we are mighty and we're made in the image and likeness of God. He has created us beautiful. I plan to do a separate video on the psychological side of fibromyalgia because I have a lot to say, and I'll try not to drone on, but a lot has changed in that area too. It's recognized that many of us, but not all of us, deal with psychological issues like anxiety and depression. But since not all of us deal with that on a daily basis or weekly or monthly or whatever it may be, it shows that fibromyalgia is not just a psychological problem. I take Neurontin because it works best for me and the cost is minimal. I have leg pain that is beyond fibro, such as sharp, sudden stinging pains in my legs and feet, and I get terrible muscle spasms. So Neurontin helps with fibro and those other issues. But you may not be able to take Neurontin because you get side effects or any other type of fibromyalgia medication. That's so sad to me because until I started Neurontin, I struggled getting around. It's truly been a game changer for me, but you may still be searching for the right medication or you've just given up entirely. So that was my introduction, quite long, but I wanted to make sure that we're all in agreement of what fibromyalgia is before we begin. And if you didn't know what fibromyalgia is, I hope that helped explain it. So today, let's dig into where we are in research and understanding of this complex illness. Here we go. The diagnostic criteria have shifted since 1990 from reliance solely on tender points to a more comprehensive evaluation, considering the widespread nature of pain and associated symptoms. Patients were often met with skepticism within the medical community, and some dismissed it as purely psychological. A lack of acknowledgement and understanding of fibromyalgia, in part due to the lack of objective diagnostic markers, was the culprit. Over the years, a growing body of research has brought to light a complex interplay of biological, psychological, and social factors that contribute to fibromyalgia. It was once thought that fibro was rare, but it's now considered a prevalent health concern on a global scale. I've seen it as high as 8% of the human population and as low as 3%, so it's somewhere in there. Unfortunately, studies have shown that from the first symptoms to diagnosis is an average of 6.5 years. That's horrific. That study was in 2018, so I find it disturbing that people are still not listened to. 6.5 years, seriously. It's true that symptoms evolve over time. We don't wake up one day with chronic pain and all the rest. It may advance over time. For me, it was about a year. How long did it take you before you noticed that you had pain pretty much everywhere? It may move and shift from one place to the other, but it was there. And how long did it take you to get diagnosed? In my case, it was 2.5 years. Women are more often affected by fibromyalgia from age 20 to age 55. There's often a family history, but there may be more men who are undiagnosed out there with fibromyalgia, which is skewing the scale. But one thing is clear, fibromyalgia is not confined to a specific demographic, age, gender, or socioeconomic status. Kids and teenagers and people in their 70s and 80s suddenly find themselves with fibromyalgia. I've gone over the current diagnostic criteria in this video, so if you would like to know more, please watch that video. But to get diagnosed with fibromyalgia, the ACR, American College of Rheumatology, moved from those tender point examinations to a more comprehensive and inclusive approach, including assessing pain in 19 specific body areas, determining a symptom severity score, including fatigue, sleep, and cognitive difficulties. The physician will rule out other similar conditions or even add to the diagnosis. RA, SLE, and inflammatory arthritis are common with fibro and need to be a separate diagnosis if you have them at all. Perhaps the physician will ask if there's a family history of fibro, since there is a strong genetic predisposition. There's a complex interplay of biological, psychological, and social factors, as I stated, that contribute to fibromyalgia. Pain is on both sides of the body, as well as the spine and above and below the waist. Sleep disturbances include difficulties with falling asleep, staying asleep, or experiencing restorative sleep issues, and these can contribute to problems with pain and fatigue, even cognitive efforts. On top of these sleep issues, many have other sleep problems such as sleep apnea and restless leg syndrome. Cognitive difficulties, or what we call fibrofog, include problems with concentration, memory, and the ability to perform mental tasks. I used to love calculating math problems in my head. Now they overwhelm me. So I just say, I don't like math. Perhaps it's the fatigue that leads to the problems. It's common to have headaches, migraines, IBS, TMJ, face pain, pelvic pain, and back pain. Also, anxiety and depression. Unless you experience it, it's hard to explain. Pain moves from one place to the other quite often. So there's always uncertainty there. How am I going to feel today? How am I going to feel tomorrow? Will I be able to go to that concert on Friday? But there's usually a constant dull pain all over the body. It becomes difficult to get tasks done because overdoing it can lead to more pain and a flare. But honestly, I don't care anymore. If I overdo it and have more pain, well, so be it. That's where I'm at. I have things to do while I have my eyesight and it's going. There's not a whole lot I can do about it except to get those injections in my eyes. And so I'm doing the things that I need to do and need to get done. I may only have a couple of years. I also move at a slower, much slower pace than I used to. And perhaps age has something to do with that, but I think it's because just movement can be hard. And if we don't move, well, then we're in worse shape. It's an oxymoron. Movement is painful and good for us. Researchers are learning so much about the intricacies and multifaceted nature of fibro. The interplay of genetic, neurological, and immunological factors is being uncovered. It's time. I'm getting a little impatient. However, the precise mechanisms still remain incompletely understood. Still, current research is providing valuable insights into what is contributing to the development of fibromyalgia and its perpetuation. So let's dive into that. As I stated, genetics plays a role in the susceptibility to fibromyalgia. There are specific genetic markers that increase the risk of developing it. The heritability is estimated to be about 50%, so a significant genetic influence. There are variations in genes that involve pain perception, neurotransmitter regulation, and immune function that are implicated in fibromyalgia. Genetics aren't the only factors that contribute to fibro. Environmental factors are also involved. Physical trauma, infections, or stressful life events are considered catalysts in individuals with a genetic predisposition and contribute to the onset of fibro. I can remember so many things going on in my life at the time that fibro was evolving in my body. Do you remember such events? Research has shown that we have neurotransmitter dysregulation. I talk about this often. This is considered a central feature of the pathophysiology of fibro that impacts the processing of pain signals in the central nervous system. serotonin, norepinephrine, and dopamine are implicated in the altered pain perception observed in fibromyalgia patients. A key concept in understanding the amplification of pain signals in fibro is central sensitization. This is an abnormal response of the central nervous system to stimuli, which leads to an exaggerated and prolonged pain experience. Alterations in NMDA receptors and glutamate create an imbalance in excitatory and inhibitory neurotransmitter systems linked to fibro. We can't talk about research on fibro without mentioning the immune system's involvement. Inflammatory cytokines, monocyte characteristics, B and T cell characteristics, and peripheral blood mononuclear cell responses after stimulation have been analyzed. Several interleukin issues have been discovered, including IL-6 and IL-10. A reduced immune response was found in fibro and increased levels of inflammatory cytokines. There is contention in the medical literature about fibromyalgia being an autoimmune condition. However, that brought hope to many of us that fibro will soon have new treatment options. Antibodies were injected in mice from humans with fibromyalgia, and they exhibited fibro symptoms. No new news on this topic, so we just sit and wait. The nervous system and immune system work together to create neuroinflammation. This includes microglia, astrocytes, oligodendrocytes, and BDNF, as well as mast cells, chemokines, and pro-inflammatory cytokines and interleukins. TNFA, macrophages, and T cells are also implicated. Specific brain areas have been shown to be dysregulated, and neuroinflammation is a constant problem. Lastly, oxidative stress has also been investigated in fibro. Mitochondrial dysfunction suggests a role for disrupted energy metabolism. That could explain our energy issue. A deficiency in coenzyme Q10 has been shown in blood mononuclear cells in fibro patients. Also, lower antioxidants were found, which can influence neurotransmitter systems in pain perception. So as you can imagine, the quality of life of individuals with fibro drastically changes as the symptoms unfold. However, we are warriors. We do our best to perform daily activities while balancing activities to rest, walking, standing, lifting, household chores, and recreational activities must be managed. In my humble opinion, pharmacological treatments are our first line of defense. Non-pharmacological treatment is also important. A tailored exercise plan, stretching, and strength training should be explored to find what works best for you. Other interventions are aerobic, gentle exercise, and flexibility exercises. Occupational therapy or physical therapy are helpful. Cognitive behavioral therapy can be helpful with a qualified therapist. Acupuncture, yoga, Tai Chi, mindfulness meditation can calm muscle tension. Definitely my issue. And improve circulation, reduce our stress, and provide temporary relief from symptoms. Lifestyle modifications such as walking can help. Swimming, cycling are also essential management techniques. We need a consistent sleep routine, which, as you know, is a constant struggle for me, but I just keep working at it. We learn to manage our stress, even if it means to remove things from our lives that are hindering our improvement. Things like switching jobs or saying no to activities when you're not capable of doing them. We work on our diets to achieve better overall health and remove trigger foods that might upset our stomachs. I've covered a lot of this in videos in the past, but I'll continue to share what I learn over time. Fibro isn't an easy concept to talk about. It's complex, and new research reveals new things and triggers new conversations, which are needed in the medical and research communities. All of this is appreciated. So I hope you learned something. I send you gentle hugs and support. Love you. And immuno in the altered pain perception, it's a key something itching right there. A key concept in understanding the amplification,